afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending the virtual conference of the People Strategy Future of Work. This is our last session of the day, and we are going to be talking about the Engagedly roadmap and what's to come in 2024. My name is Caroline Funk, and I'm our sales engineer and partnership manager. I'm here today with our CEO and co-founder, Shrikant Chalapa. Shri is our people leader at Engagedly. He is the author, producer, and director of 6 feature films, a music band with his band Manchester Underground, and is the host of our People Strategy Leaders podcast. As a reminder to everyone, during each of our sessions, we will be giving away a Stanley Cup. You must be present to receive the Stanley Cup. We will be giving one away for each of the sessions that we have today, and we have had a total of 7 sessions. So we'll be posting those, the winners of each of the Stanley Cup winners after the session today. So without further ado, Shri, will you please walk us through what's to expect in 2024?
Thanks, Caroline. It's a pleasure to have this discussion with the customers and the prospects. Hopefully, you'll be customers soon. I do want to offer one clarification. That Stanley Cup is not the NHL Stanley Cup. It's a Stanley Cup mug, which is equally valuable for some people. But some people might think that's the Stanley Cup, since I come from a blues town in St. Louis. 2024 is actually going to be very exciting because there's so many things that are happening in the technology space, and the fact that in November we acquired a company called theEMPLOYEEapp, which has an amazing product for employee communications for the frontline workers, the deskless workers. So now we will be able to offer a lot of these talent management functions to the frontline workers, where really they're asking for it. For long we've been neglecting the frontline workers and deskless workers. So there's a lot of opportunity to provide value there. With the advent of AI, we were one of the first movers in AI. We introduced AI in our product back in February before many of other products did that, with a lot of value for the end users with generative AI using LLMs in our product. But overall, what's important is really focusing on the overall efficiency and effectiveness. There are a lot of products out there, including ours. We provide a lot of value in terms of the functionality in the product, being able to do performance management, OKRs, and learning and development and growth and engagement and surveys and everything there, right? But what's important is, how do you make that effective and efficient for the HR leaders? Every organization wants more resources than they actually have. So how do you do more with less, using the technology and some of the new way of doing things that have been available to us? So one of the hard roles of HR is that they have a purpose of driving better employee experience, but also they're also tasked with improving organizational effectiveness. The best organizations are the ones where HR is able to do both. So organizations succeed, when people aspirations, which is their employee experience and how they grow and develop in the organization, and the organizational strategies align. So the organizational strategy needs to meet with the employee aspirations. And Engagedly, our philosophy of solution is to deliver solutions at that intersection where we can do both for the organizations. So automation of playbooks is a very exciting new feature we are developing and we'll bring to the market. So automation has been in our product for a while. The current automations allow you to do things in an automated fashion. I'm not talking about just launching a performance review. I'm talking about things that you can put based on trigger of events, right? For example, you can assign courses based on a certain employee demographic, being able to assign learning paths automatically to people, or automating survey when somebody joins an organization, or somebody gets promoted to a new role, or somebody has a change in job title because you go to a new role, or things of this nature, or sending automated emails to welcome new people, or somebody gets promoted, so you send them new resources. So those automations already exist. We launched that about a year ago, and we've been continuing to enhance that. But where we are going with this is the playbooks. So not only can you automate, but you actually can save them as your playbook. So this is really automating your talent strategy. So you come up with a strategy that says, this is the overall process a new hire will go through in their onboarding process, for example, which might include sending an email, sending them a survey, assigning them a buddy, giving them a 30, 60, 90-day review, assigning them some initial goals that they may have, things of this nature. There are probably many such use cases, and every organization is going to run this very differently. What we can do with that is to really connect that into some sort of a workflow with the organizational specific activities and organizational specific templates and tools, and the modules they use. For example, goals may be specific to that organization for a specific function, and convert that into a playbook. So now you have that playbook. You can just run that playbook over and over again without ever having to redo that for every time a new person joins or every time a new person gets promoted, and things of this nature. So this playbooks is a completely new concept in our space, and the ability for the workflow engine that we already have that includes the automation can really drive these what we call strategy execution for your talent management functions.
Hey,
So
Sri.
one of the examples here, which is a lot of our clients have asked for, is to, hey, I want to run this performance review, but I want to use the same performance review approach every year. I don't need to recreate the performance review, the same ratings systems or similar templates. Same thing for 360 as well. So how can we make that so it also has becomes part of a playbook, right? So that way the performance and 360, all of that can be part of this playbook where you set it up once and the performance reviews runs itself every few quarters or a year, depending on how your strategy execution is. This is a clear differentiator that we are offering to the market. I think it'll be coming out sometime in the second half of the year, because there'll be a lot of changes we'll have to make in the back end to make it automated in that sense. And it's going to be a huge win. I mean, think about the countless hours and the pain that HR has to go through every time they launch a new performance review. We will be eliminating that. That's time back to you as an HR. So you can focus on the strategy and less on the transactional aspects. So we were talking about that, right? So onboarding is a big one. Promotions is another big one, right? When employees get promoted into a new role, so especially if they become a manager for the first time, they need a lot of support during the process to be successful as a manager. Now, can we automate some of these things in our platform where we connect different aspects of learning and development, growth, assigning them a mentor, giving them a survey, giving them some resources, putting them on some kind of a development and a growth plan where they can become a really good manager over a course of time, and putting those things together into this cohesive strategy into a playbook. Repetitive HR tax, we were talking about that. If you're running 360 the same way pretty much every quarter or every year or every 6 months, create it once and run it again and again. Same thing for performance training, performance reviews, as well as compliance training. Compliance training, for example, HIPAA or security training, we all have to take that on an annual basis. Now, we don't have to assign them every year again and again and again. Now we can do that once and then let that run every year. And then you can get really good reports based on that process you set up. So automating a lot of these transactional aspects is going to really drive efficiency and optimize the HR function going forward. The next big one, obviously, AI has been a big buzzword, but it's not just a buzzword. I think AI, if deployed correctly, can add a lot of value to people. It really fast cycles your learning. It takes away a lot of the repetitive tasks. It really helps, crystallize your thinking better because you can get data from different sources and distill that down, because we are all, living in a data overload world. And with our product where we have almost a dozen different apps, how do you get all the data together and really make sense of all the data from your people process? So we launched AI Everywhere concept with Marissa AI back in February, which used the Gen AI functions for really enabling people to give better feedback to each other. Giving real-time feedback, as we know, is a very important aspect of driving employee performance and development and growth. And one way where we saw value in using AI is, how can a manager or somebody else who wants to give a direct feedback just in time use Marissa AI to really better craft their feedback? Because feedback has to be timely, it has to be relevant, and it has to be very, very specific. It cannot be about, hey, you didn't do a good job in this meeting today, so here's my feedback that you didn't do a good job. That doesn't help anyone. It's just criticism without any value. So how can we use that? So Marissa AI uses really good Gen AI capabilities to be able to give effective feedback that is actionable versus generic feedback that is demotivating in nature. Goal setting, another one. A lot of people write goals without any specificity. The goals are only effective if there is specificity around time, outcomes, and measurement, some way of measuring those goals. So AI can check your goal, can suggest new goals based on what your outcomes you're looking for, and be helpful in that sense. So there are a lot of different use cases like that we've delivered over the last year. But where we are going with AI is to really be able to go into the insights and actions aspect of your function. So for example, can I look at our entire performance management and then derive some kind of a pattern? Can I see that, hey, here are some high performers based on some of the review data? Now, if you're an HR manager running reviews for hundreds of people or even 1,000 people, it is very hard to go and read every review to get that insight. And especially if you're a CEO of an organization, how do you get some better insights from all the comments and feedback that you've captured over the course of the year for an employee? So some of those things can really be enhanced by AI by letting it highlight some of those aspects in the performance. The same thing for recognition and rewards, where we can get data from the system to say, hey, this person has been consistently exceeding goals, maybe getting a lot of praise. Maybe as a CEO, as a CXO, it's time for you to maybe recognize this person so that you motivate them. So there are a lot of different use cases there. The one big one is around employee development. How can we personalize development based on the feedback they get from their peers, maybe their manager, and also the areas they're working on, and also the development goals they've set for themselves. So I can distill all the data across the entire ecosystem to be able to recommend maybe training, or recommend some growth areas or some additional resources they should access to. So those are some of the new use cases that we are thinking about using system to drive insights, which can drive action. So enhancing user experience, the user experience has been one of those things where I think people now obviously are a lot of impatient. So you don't want to go look around the entire system to figure out what to do what. So what we've done is we have really improved our user experience over time. So in the past, we've been enhancing the user system. But what happens is when we do enhancements across the platform, sometimes there are issues in the sense of the UX of a certain module hasn't been enhanced for a couple of years, but the new modules that we've developed have a new user experience. So there's some inconsistencies. So we really want to fix that in 2024. So what we did in 2024 is really taking a future forward information architecture. So for those who may not be familiar with the information architecture term, it's really a term that describes how the information is presented to the user, how it's architected on the visual spatial view so that you can easily access it and take action on it. So this project has been in progress for about a year at this point, where we're looking at the entire information setup in our system, the entire user experience in our system, and then come up with a better way to present that information so that it is highly actionable and relevant and timely. And it's also something that people don't necessarily need a manual to read. They can just go and start working on it. So the whole goal here is to get to as close to zero training as possible for the end users. So it'll obviously provide simplified and consistent navigation. It will be smart in trying to identify your persona. So if you're a manager, it'll automatically realize that you're a manager. So it'll not only show your data as an individual performer, but it'll also show data for your employees that report into you. So that way it can really identify and show the data that is relevant to you based on your performance. If you're an admin, same thing. It'll understand that you're an admin, so you can see a lot more data than a normal average user would. The last one that I wanted to highlight here, Caroline, is that the app extensibility is something that's big because we've been adding new apps over time, but we also integrate with other apps. And we do have, content providers and other apps we work with. And then our organizations that we work with also have internal apps that they want to necessarily, want the users to leave the platform. They can maybe access it directly from our platform. So that allows us to create this app ecosystem where we can add additional apps to the product where the users can go one place to find all their apps that are relevant to their talent management function. All right, so let's go into the information architecture, how we are reorganizing it. So if you look at the navigation bar, on the navigation bar right here, you see that there are different icons now. So these icons are now slightly different than where we used to have. where we have a plethora of different options. So now we have different spaces. So the home is where every person will land on. And then there's people to find your people, there's connect, there's explore, and we'll go into each of these details in a minute here. But the most important thing here is that we try to condense information into one place so that the employees don't have to necessarily go to 15 different places to find information and take action on those. So let's talk about the first aspect of it, which is home. This is the only place really the employee has to go. Um, if you're an admin, obviously there are other things you need to do, but as an employee, you need to go one place where you can look at all the pending actions that you need to take. You can look at all the you know, the uh, the courses you may be assigned to, the goals you may have. We also relaunching, I should say, the intranet. We used to have an intranet back in the day, which we kind of retired for most of our clients. Some clients still ended up using it, so we didn't fully retire it, but we are bringing it back for a lot of organizations that may want an intranet to allow them to publish, updated information or their mission, vision, values, or a bulletin board to make some announcements and things of this nature. And this is going to be extremely critical as we talk about our integration with the employee app, which is a frontline app that I was talking about earlier. Engagement is going to be a lot more intuitive for the end users, and they'll be able to interact with their with the platform a lot easier as well. Now, one of the other modules that we used to have as a separate module was notes, which was one of those things that was kind of hidden. Nobody really found it. It's a way for you to keep personal notes, but it's also a way for you to share notes with other people as well, so that you can take notes throughout the year and then use that during your review process or other type of feedback you may want to give throughout the year. So now it's part of the product in the front, so that you can take notes in the product in the dashboard area itself and make it accessible right away. So the other aspect is people, right? You want to know who your people are you're working with. And what's important about the people aspect is that we used to go, if you want to see somebody's goal information, you have to go to goals and look at the information about the goals for that individual, or you have to go to talent profile to look at some of the aspects of an employee there. Talent profile was not necessarily something that was front and center for the within the product. So what we did is we condensed everything and say everything people related is in one space now. So you can find comprehensive information about the entire organization in one place. You can see your entire org chart. You can see information about the employees in terms of maybe their interests, their date of joining, things of this nature, which department they work for, and their skills and things like that. Now, what's really important here is the system is smart enough to recognize your user profile that's looking at it, right? So it knows what to show you based on what permissions you have. So if you're an HR, you can obviously see a lot of things, almost everything as an HR leader. If you're a manager, you'll only see everything about maybe your employees you directly report into you. But if you are a individual contributor, you may only see some basic information about an employee. So the employee level data at the in the profile it has a data level security aspect to it, which we built into it. So that's really enhancing that security access to the point where we make sure that the relevant information is presented to the people who actually need to see it. All right, so connect, one of the name Engagely, as it says, it's about driving engagement. Connect is how you connect with other people and engage with other people. So there's social feed, which obviously we used to have as a separate module, but now connect really brings all the connection aspects together in one place. The social feed is where you can update your status, ask for help, exchange ideas, you can praise each other, things of this nature. Being able to create groups, it was a function that we've always had in our product. So now it's going to be part of the connect section of our platform. And then a new thing that we will be launching is conversations, where you can have this one-on-one conversations with your direct employee across the entire platform in one place, so that the threaded conversation that you're having. But what's really interesting, and with this whole advent of cross-functional work, is that now you can have cross-functional team communications in one place as well. So if you're sharing some project-related stuff, or if you're sharing some updates on your goals, it can all live in one place and have that communication in that one area. So Explore is, I'm really excited about this one actually, because one of the things that our clients always ask, or not always, many times ask us is, hey, I'm launching a survey. Do you have an example of a survey we can launch for, what type of a team outing they want to have, for example, or if they want to have some level of feedback on whether, if you want to return to work or hybrid work and what type of mix might work for them. So, different types of survey questions that they may want to have, a new hire feedback survey, exit surveys, survey for employee engagement. Obviously, we have that built into the platform already, but there are dozens of different surveys that organizations want to run. So that's an example of a content that they would want, and now it can live in one place. So you can go to this Explorer area, look up all the different published templates that we will be giving in the product. It already exists in templates in surveys, but now all content across the entire platform can live in one place. So you can go and explore all the different types of content. For example, if you're doing meetings, your one-on-one meeting that we launched recently, and you want to have a standard, what does a typical one-on-one meeting look like? If you're a new manager, maybe that's something you may want to explore and say, hey, I want to see what other managers are doing. So you can look at a template here, pick one of those templates here. If you're a project manager, your meeting template might look different. So you may want to use a different template for that. So those are some of the templates we'll provide in the product itself. A lot of organizations struggle with setting really good goals. As I mentioned earlier, OKRs is another one that's a learned behavior, because OKRs require you to be a little bit more specific and measurable. We will have hundreds of different goals templates available in this system now. So you can go and say, hey, if I'm a marketing analyst, what type of goals should I have? There'll be a few examples of that. Obviously, you can pull that down, make that your goal, edit that as you see fit, because every organization and every role is different. So that'll be very helpful in being able to do things like that. So performance and 360 templates, another one. A lot of organizations who are launching performance review for the first time will probably need some examples of templates, or they may want to look at, hey, I'm doing it this way. Let's see what other options are available. So those are some of the really cool features that are coming out in the new updated, the information architecture, which will have this space for different templates. Now, what's really nice about this is that you're not limited to the Engagely templates alone. Now you can also build your own templates and make it available to the rest of the organization. If you're a manager and let's say you think your template is very effective, maybe you let the admins know, hey, I think this template can be made available to the rest of the organization. So now all the other managers can have access to that template. So the whole key here is to drive effectiveness and efficiency again, right? So if you have these templates that are used effectively by a lot of other organizations or by your own team members, how can you make that scalable and institutionalize that knowledge throughout the entire organization to be more effective? And that also drives efficiency, because now I don't have to go around trying to figure out whatever template to use and then or use a bad template and then have to redo all that work. So all that time can be saved and given back to the organization. So one of the features that we always had is a store. So, as you know, and if you don't know, our platform is entirely gamified, which means that you can get points for different actions within the platform. So what that means is that you can get points for achieving a goal, for example, or you can get points for getting a praise if you live a certain value, or if you finish a course. And all of those things are gamified, right? But what does that points mean? Those points mean that you can potentially use those points for redeeming some rewards in a platform. Now, some organizations choose not to do that. Some organizations choose to do that. Really, it's completely configurable. You can also, the gamification layer itself is configurable. So for the organizations that choose to do that, there will be a store available right on the menu where they can use those points to redeem for those gift cards that are available through our partner Tango Card. Now, some organizations, this is something we launched about 6 months ago, can build their own stores. So if you want to build your own stores and say, I don't really want to do these physical gift cards and stuff, I want to build my own rewards catalog, which includes, let's say, a Stanley Cup, not the NHL Stanley Cup, but the metal Stanley Cup that some people really enjoy having, or they want to have a branded T-shirt or a team outing that's given to the manager for achieving certain goal as a team, things of this nature, right? So they can build their own custom store, and that's going to be all available in this space, so the employees can then use that to drive, those redemption for their points that earned. It's a great way for organizations to drive motivation within their teams, build a culture of recognition within the organization, drive their values, because every time a value is exhibited, you want to recognize it and reinforce that. All of that can really be reinforced by having some concept of rewards and recognition built into the platform, which is now going to be a lot more accessible within this new information architecture. All right, so the apps ecosystem, I was talking about how, earlier in our platform, which is where we have different apps and different products. And eventually, when you have so many apps, you run out of space. So we had to reimagine how we will build out the app ecosystem. And not every app is necessary for every organization. So every organization will have their own set of apps that are relevant to them. Um, and that's now available through this app ecosystem space where they can go and access these different apps that are enabled for them. So not every organization will see all the apps. It only depends on what you've enabled for yourself or what you've subscribed to. But what's very nice about this is it's extensible, which means that if, let's say, you want to embed your timesheet app here, you could do that. Or you want to give payroll information with a thumbnail app here, you could make that really accessible. Or your HR resources, your benefit policies, maybe it's residing somewhere else, you can make that accessible as well. So that gives that extensibility within the platform, but one place to go and look at all the apps that are relevant to you. Now, this is obviously not that, this is good to go in each app and look at the details. But if you're an employee, all you need to go is into the dashboard that we were talking about earlier. Because everything you need to know and you need to do is all in one place. But if you're a manager or maybe an admin and you want to do very app-specific tasks, let's say you want to launch goals for the first time, obviously at that point, you want to go to the goals app and then launch that. Or if you want to launch your growth for your organization and build out the IDPs, you obviously go to the growth module and launch that. The one thing that has been coming up again and again from our clients and from our own employees is a better way to do analytics. We have a lot of analytics in our platform. Many of it is unfortunately hidden or not as easy to access. What we've done is we pulled all the analytics. I mean, we still have analytics at module levels, but we also created a space where all the entire platform analytics is in one place. So here you can come in here and look at all the analytics across different modules, including cross-modular analytics that you want to run. So there's a lot of data and analytics here, which you can figure out what makes sense for you, what doesn't. There's a lot of filters, so you can filter down or drill down on the analytics to really understand that, because this is one of those more important aspects you want to be able to access easily if you're an HR leader, is to really understand how is my organization doing? Are they learning? Are they growing? Things of this nature, all available in one place. Very excited about the new learning experience. I think we launched it this week or next week. We are launching it. It's been in beta for a while. So learning experience is really enhancing the LMS from an admin-driven function to personalizing it as a learner experience-driven function. So it is really focusing on the learner experience. How, as a learner, can I choose my own learning journey depending on what I need to do? Obviously, there are some other enhancements we have to do, like compliance management, which was very necessary for our regulated industries like healthcare or finance and things of this nature. So we had a compliance function that I talked about earlier. But it also gives a lot of reports and analytics, which really give you insights and recommendations for the end user who's taking this training. There's a centralized learning hub where you can go and pick and choose your courses you want to take. You can also see what other people are learning in your organization. So you can say, hey, people in my role are taking these courses. Maybe that's something I should look at as well. The one big thing as organizations move from job title boxed roles to more skill-driven organizations, what we want to do is to really drive that growth across the skills and competencies. So with our growth module, where we have ability to add your growth areas and milestones, you also add your skills that you want to develop. This allows here to tag certain courses with certain skills. So now you can search courses that are part of a certain skill set that you're looking to develop, right? And that allows you to really personalize the training and the catalog to your liking that might be in the line of the skill set you're trying to develop. And then same thing for competencies as well. And now we have thousands of skills populated in our platform already. So You can obviously add your own skills in the platform as well, but this allows you to make that skill accessible across the platform as a base layer, which allows you to tag skills to courses, but also tag skills to a persona, tag skills to your IDP and things of this nature. All right, I'll try to go quick. I know we are running out of time here. So there's a lot of different dashboards and tracking of compliance, which has been a big need for a lot of our HR clients who have asked for this. So that'll be there. We talked about this. I'm going to quickly run through. This was an important one which we've had integrations, content providers, obviously LinkedIn, Reliant, Udemy, and the likes of those. We have a bunch of different content providers already there. Now you can see all of them in one place. So in the content centralized training hub. So you may have multiple content providers that you can now bring from here, or you can also look at the ones that you may not have and you may want to subscribe to, and that's something that you can contact our account managers to do that. We have our own library of courses at Engagely called the Engagely Academy, which currently sits outside of Engagely, even though it looks like Engagely, but it actually sits outside Engagely. A lot of training really related to how to be a good manager, how to give good feedback, how to set good goals, things that really to drive better talent management behaviors within the platform. So we'll be bringing that into the our native LMS, which in the LXP, where you can be able to access those courses as well. And those courses are available for free for everyone, regardless of whether you are a subscriber to LXP or not. But it's actually free for everyone, even if you're not an Engagely client. It's on academy.engagely.com. Know is another big one that a lot of clients are using for their internal security and compliance training, which we will be bringing that as one of the content providers as well. Obviously, a lot of the other content providers, you may need your own, agreement with. Some of them we do resell through our own services. And so like LinkedIn Learning, for example, you will have to subscribe to LinkedIn separately, and then we can integrate that into the platform. All right, I'm going to quickly jump through that to the big one that I've been mentioning earlier, which is really enabling the deskless workforce. I think about 60% or 70% of the US workforce is deskless for the most part. They work in restaurants, they work in factories, they work in manufacturing, they work in healthcare, retail, and the likes of those. Now, when we acquired EmployeeApp, it was one of the leading apps for employee communications for the deskless workforce, or the frontline workforce, as some people call them. It's a mobile-first product with a web interface, and what it does is it helps with driving employee communications from the leadership down to the frontline employees, for them to know what's the latest happenings in the organization, if there's a shutdown at a plant, for example, or if there's a change in time shift, or if they want to publish the cafeteria menu so they can quickly access it on their mobile app, being able to send alerts. It has an SMS capability as well, so you can do a lot of things to communicate to the employees. What it doesn't have, and many apps on the employee communication space don't have, is an ability to drive better employee engagement, drive better recognition, drive their growth. Because just because you're a frontline and deskless worker doesn't mean you don't have career aspirations. Everybody has career aspirations. They all want to grow. They all want to have their voices heard. They all want to be connected with the organization, and be recognized for their work. So if you are a big organization with multiple facilities all over the country, you don't necessarily know who the most engaged people are, who is performing really well, who's getting recognized, if you don't have some kind of a system. And that's what this integration and enhancement is going to solve, being able to really drive some of those talent functions through to the frontline workers and the deskless workers, which really is going to drive better retention and growth for those employees, and upskilling those employees as well. Very excited about that, because it's one of those neglected spaces within talent management that we feel we have a unique opportunity to help our HR leaders with. So that's all I have. I mean, it's quite a bit. We have a chock full of new things coming. As you can see, many of these things have already been released or in beta already. A lot of these other items I talked about are coming in the second half. Obviously, there'll be other minor enhancements we'll be doing throughout the year. But with that, I will conclude my portion of the 2024 roadmap. So what questions and feedback that I can answer.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. You just watched the recording of our roadmap session. Shri is here to answer questions. And Shri, we do have a couple of questions. I know you had a lot of information to go over. Paul has a couple of them for us. The first one was, what kind of engagement mechanics and tool sets are baked in for leaderboards and rewarding, etc.?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. We talked about it earlier, where we have gamification across the platform. So what that means is you have points that you can assign for or give to people for their different actions, achieving goals, achieving their learning objectives, or getting a praise, things of this nature. So that drives behaviors, because when you get those points, it gamifies the behaviors as well. But what's nice about that is with the connection of that with the store, and the store can, as I mentioned, can be a Tango gift card store where you get cards for retails like Amazon or Target or AMC theaters or things like that. But you can also set up your own store where you can give out your own Stanley Cup, so for your employees with your branded logo on it, or a lunch, for team lunch for your managers who might want to do that for their team. So those are some other things that we can do to drive those behaviors.
Awesome. And since communications is crucial, what role do chatbots play in the platform with the multilateral organizational communication process in mind?
It's actually, there are two things. One is there's the actual social feed, which we have in Engagely, and then there's the employee communication app has its own feed that's highly targeted based on demographic. So that's where the communication managers or HR leaders can provide updates and communicate directly with the employees, and then have comments on it as well. The other aspect is we do have an AI chatbot built into our product, where HR can actually upload their own internal documents if they wanted to, like their benefits document, their employee handbook, things of this nature, or policy documents, which can now be queried using the Marissa AI, because it will ingest all the data, use its large language models to be able to distill that down and answer like a human back to the user. So the user can ask, hey, what is our maternity or paternity leave policy, for example, and it can read the document and give you an answer. It can even point to that document in the specific section, whether section is about that topic. So that's in the help within the Engagely. If you click on help, there's a place to go and do that over there.
Right. Thank you. If there's any other questions, I encourage you to put them in the chat while we still have some time. I do want to thank you all for attending today. I hope that you've gotten some good information about manager excellence and different ways you can help your organization with performance, learning, engagement through your managers and leveling up your leadership. Since there's no other questions, I'm going to go ahead and take us to the prize winners for the day. I'm going to share my screen and get that out of the way. So the prize winners for the Stanley Cup. We have Christina B. in our first session, David C., Hannah V., Paul T., Tahana, I hope I said that right, and Lakeisha W. And the last winner for the roadmap session will be announced via email. So I need everybody to go over to their inbox within the next 20 minutes and check that inbox for the very last winner. We'll have it announced there. All right. That concludes our day. Thank you once again. Thank you, Shri, for your time today, and we will see you all next time.
Thank you.
Bye.